Hello, this is my reflection video for observation 3, lesson plan 3. I think this went very well for the circumstances that we had. We had a lot of students being pulled out for various reasons. We had a change in schedule where students were being pulled for intervention. The schedule had changed, so instead for being pulled out later in the day, students are now being pulled earlier in the day, which meant less students there. We also had less students in class because usually we have 38 kids in the room between 3-1 and 3-3 being combined, myself and my co-teacher being in there. We had 3-2, which is the third, the second, third grade. Uh, their teacher was out sick, so we had to split the kids. So instead for me taking all the kids, Miss Maven decided to take 3-2 and 3-3, and we will rotate them. So I ended up getting 3-3 later in the day. So in the video, you see me with 3-1, the students who were left. We had students pulled out because they're involved in a performance. Um, so these are the students who were left. Uh, so with that, we done a something that I tried. As it was a sticky note stop and jot. So I created a worksheet where there were 4 questions on there that students, it was geared towards um, the book we were reading. We were reading Knots on the Counting Rope. Well, the story we were reading, Knots on the Counting Rope. And I had asked the students 4 questions, and they were to use the confined space to answer the question as if they were writing on a sticky note. So the first question was, how does a Hogan look different from your house looks? Describe it. So one of our vocabulary words was Hogan because it's where the boy and his family, and the boy in the story and his family lived in. So I uh, found pictures of a Hogan, and I signed it. I created a slide for vocabulary. So that was one of our vocabulary words. So I started off the lesson with doing vocabulary, and we end up going into the sticky note stop and jot. So they were able to describe it. A lot of kids were saying uh, they were given great details. Some kids said my house was made of bricks, and they described the colors and everything else. They did that after I described my house, so that they knew what I was expecting um, for the answer. Question number 2 was, if you could ask the boy or grandfather one thing, what would it be? This question I allowed the students to be creative. They could ask them anything. I had students ask him about if he played sports. What type of sports would he play if he was here today? Um, Students asked how many knots were on the rope because they wanted to know. Um, they were asking things about the grandson. They knew he was blind, but they didn't figure that out until we got to the end. So some of the questions were, uh, "Is your grandson special? Is he like a god?" So they didn't understand until we got towards the end of the story. Question number 3 is also another one where I let the students be creative. It says, continue the story as if you were the writer, write a story. Uh, the boy will have his grandfather tell next. So a lot of the students were wanted to know about the grandfather's upbringing. So by him being an older man, they wanted to know how him and his grandmother, he and his grandmother grew up. So they wanted the grandfather to tell his stories. about some of the things he experienced. Also, another one was talked about the grandmother, um, and the boy's mother, or the boy talked about the boy being older. It says the boy got older and he started learning how to live on his own. Um, Lastly, the last question was choose an illustration from the story. In your own words, explain why the author might have chosen that picture. A lot of students wanted to know why. I already talked about the blue horses, so uh, that was pretty much one of the main ones that the students who were left chose. Also, they talked about him riding the horses. They knew he was blind, but they wanted to know like why or how did he know about like leaning this turn or this way or that way. So we talked about when you lose a sense, you gain your other senses are heightened. So uh, they seen that um, he was able to hear, he was able to feel. So he was able to feel the horse shift one way to shift to another way. He was able to listen, like, okay, I'm going past the trees or something. So that was one of the things we discussed. Uh, we also done a prefix um, worksheet where the students were learning about creating prefixes. Well, not creating prefixes, creating words from prefixes using base or root words. So that's another thing we were learning about. So I had students answer 10 questions using different prefixes, and I had gave them the example. The prefix was un, which meant not. Excuse me, which meant not. So I had done created the new word unhappy. So I used the word happy and and created unhappy. And then I had given him a sentence. And I said, Mr. Ray was unhappy with the student's behavior yesterday. So that was just the sentence using the prefix, the root or base word, and having them write the questions. So a lot of the students done that. What wasn't recorded was the gallery walk. So we had started off with grade one. They had put five uh, big posted sticky notes or paper on the wall outside the classroom, and in the hallway I had wrote five different prefixes on each one of them, and the students created lists of words that use that prefix. So if they were at the un prefix, they wrote words like unpredictable, unattainable, unattentive, stuff like that. Um, and then after a certain amount of time, then we move on to the next prefix and circle around until until everybody, hey, went to each one of the prefixes. And then I took them off the wall. And then when 3-3 came for me, I had 3-3 do the same thing. Um, so that's something I didn't get to, so I didn't include it in the lesson plan, but that was a part of the lesson. But like I said, due to students being missing and being a hectic day, that wasn't included. I did get a formative assessment in. I let the students play Bookit, which was geared towards prefixes again, so students were able to create prefixes. I had prefixes that were jumbled up. I had prefixes that were misspelled. Put in the wrong places and whatnot. And I also added some bonus questions in, so the students were able to uh, answer those. Uh, Also, um, lastly, what was it that I wanted to say? I feel that this lesson was very well for it to be changed literally as I walked through the door. So I had to change up because I didn't get notification that stuff was changing until I walked through the door. But um, with that being said, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Again, still I can grow. Still, my students enjoyed it. I was up out of the seat compared to the last lesson. I walked around a lot more. The students were more engaged. I tried to not stop so much and discipline and chastise students for behaviors or not conforming. I think a lot of the students were engaged. Even the students who usually are unengaged or disengaged, um, they were they were involved. Especially when when we got to play bullshit. That's one of the things they really like to do. So again, I rate this 9.5, and yeah, I think the students enjoyed it.